Hi, thank you for joining us on this episode of Sports Bets for Free. My name is Scott Jenkins, your host, just a local sports bettor here in Phoenix, Arizona. And hopefully today with our picks and your picks, it's going to be another profitable day for you. How about we get into Sunday, March 24th, March Madness Round 2. As we get these to you the night before here, because there's a lot of games to bet on, a lot of money to be mad. Hopefully you were on with us yesterday. We crushed them as of yesterday. Up almost 200 units yesterday on the NCAA games. A couple big dogs winning for us with Grand Canyon and James Madison, getting those dogs in. So hopefully, like I said, you were around for those. Let's get into the Sunday matchups. We also gave away the Saturday ones last night. So hopefully it's been a decent start to the day. Looks like North Carolina, which was our best bet, is also going to come home with the victory first half and game. Iowa State pulling away in the second half. And Oakland hanging tough so far with NC State. So in that one there. So let's get started with those Sunday games. First game up going to be 9:10 out here in Phoenix. So 12:10 Eastern time. Colorado travel against Marquette to get a 2:10 matchup here. Marquette was second best team in the Big East all season long behind UConn. They played a tough schedule. They've played well. They hung with Kansas earlier in the season when Kansas was fully healthy. That was a game they knocked off some teams as well. So Colorado, I will say this. We have been on them as of late. I believe they've won 10 out of their last 11 or 9 out of 10. They have a couple guys that are going to go to the NBA. If you don't know about Cody Williams like we do, as Cody Williams is a local high school product here and went to Colorado for his freshman season. Pay attention to Cody Williams. He's going to be a really good player, I think, in the NBA for quite a few years if he stays healthy. Maybe not a superstar, but a guy that, major contributor to some NBA team, and let alone playing at Colorado. Tad Boyle, one of the best coaches in the country, maybe you never heard of. It's hard to recruit to Colorado until Deion came along and made it the cool school. But other sports that don't have Deion Sanders in them still struggle to, recruit kids to Colorado. Maybe don't have the NIL money and things of that nature, but Colorado has definitely made a run. All that being said, I think the run ends today for Colorado, or run ends on Sunday for Colorado. Well, the line is 4.5. Marquette is one of our Sweet 16 teams that we bet on before the tournament started. We'll give you a rundown of those at the end of the show as well, if you haven't heard those yet. So we did take Marquette -2 in the first half, -4 for the game. One more time, Marquette -2 first half and -4 for the game. Next game up on the list, or next game up, is going to be at 11:40 out here in Phoenix, so 2:40 Eastern. Utah State, Purdue. Anybody else surprised that Purdue didn't have a nail biter in the first game? I expected them to play close. For as much talent as Purdue has and having the best player in the country, now I don't think he's going to be fantastic NBA player or pro player, but he's been a great college player, Mr. Eddie. But I think Utah State, even though the Mountain West once again has proven for some reason that they can't do anything, but still two teams remain in the 32, and that's going to be a Utah State and San Diego State. I think Utah State, we might bet this money line. We haven't as of yet. We like Utah State plus the points, though, so we're going to take Utah State plus 6.5 first half, plus 11.5 for the game. One more time, Utah State plus 6.5 first half, plus 11.5 for the game. And like I said, we might, with this line here, and money line's what's the money line currently around almost plus 500. We're probably going to sprinkle a little bit on the money line here as well, as we expect some upsets here. I just think Purdue's going to have one of those nail-biter games in the first weekend, and they didn't have it in the first round, so expect them to have it here. Next game up, James Madison against Duke. 2:15 our time here in Phoenix, so 5:15 out east. James Madison, if you haven't watched them all season long, they've ran off a couple double-digit win streaks, like 14 in a row, 15 in a row. They beat Michigan State earlier in the season. I'm not saying beating Michigan State means you're like a top 5 team, but they are a team that was ranked earlier in the season. Going against Duke the 4 seed, James Madison the 12, 7.5 point line here, and it's like, I don't know where they're coming up with. Madison in the first game was like a 6.5 point dog, and now we think that going against Duke, Duke's better. I don't see where the bookmakers are finding that. There is a ton of value in this game. We think James Madison's winning this game outright. They're making a Sweet 16. They were one of our Sweet 16 bets. Them and Grand Canyon were kind of our two big dogs to make it. They're both still alive. We think James Madison makes it through on this one. So give us James Madison in this one. We're going to take money line and plus the 7.5. And then we're going to take money line in the first half, which was plus 190 on DraftKings, if you're looking for the best value we found, and James Madison plus 4 in the first half. So one more time in the James Madison-Duke matchup, James Madison money line first half plus 4 first half. James Madison money line for the game and plus 7.5 first half on that one there. Next game up on the schedule, Clemson-Baylor. Clemson had a good night against New Mexico. I think New Mexico got hot for the tournament. Everybody all of a sudden was back on New Mexico. We were so heavy New Mexico earlier in the season when they had that fabulous record against the spread. Then they hit like a 6-week doldrum, showed up for the tournament, played extremely well, looked like they did during the first few weeks, and then absolutely imploded like they had for that 6-week stretch. Clemson had a good game. I wouldn't call it a great game. They shot about average from the field. Nothing spectacular in that. But playing Baylor is a different animal. Not only is Baylor a previous champion here with Scott Drew as the head coach, Baylor is tough. They play good defense. They shoot the 3-ball well. They can get the ball inside. I see Clemson having all kinds of issues here. I see Baylor kind of, winning this first half, maybe up 5-9, somewhere in that range, and then running away and hiding in the second half in this one. So give us Baylor. We'll lay the 2.5 first half. Minus 4.5 for the game. One more time, Baylor minus 2.5 first half and minus 4.5 for the game. Next game up, Grand Canyon, Alabama. Grand Canyon getting 6.5 after their big win. Alabama laying the 6.5. Another 4-12 matchup like we had with Duke and James Madison. This is another example of Alabama shot lights out. We thought in the first game, Grand Canyon will not allow them to do this in this one. The total is awful high here, almost pushing 170. I'll be really honest. I think Grand Canyon can slow this and grind this game down here and make Alabama play at a pace they do not want to play at. When they can't jack up threes, it seems this team becomes very disinterested very fast. We like Grand Canyon here to get the outright win, but we'll gladly take the 6.5 here as well. As GCU gets their first win ever, so might as well tack on a second one, make it to the Sweet 16. And for everybody that followed us on the show, make us all big winners for the Sweet 16 bets as well. So give us Grand Canyon in this particular matchup. We're going to take Grand Canyon, money line first half plus 3.5 first half. Money line for the game plus 6.5 for the game. So one more time in that Grand Canyon, Alabama matchup, money line first half plus 3.5 first half. Money line first for the game plus 6.5 for the game. Next game up, UConn, Northwestern. Northwestern absolutely shot their ass off in order to come back against FAU, tie it up, and then had an unbelievable shooting in overtime as well. Do not expect this against UConn. At the start of the tournament, I was kind of hesitant to pick UConn because there's so many. It's so rare to win back-to-back tournaments. But being the way this kind of fell with Yale beating Alabama, their road to victory before the tournament looked like one of maybe the tougher regions, and I still think they're going to have a really tough one with Iowa State. The problem with Iowa State is they're trouble scoring-wise. They just do not score enough sometimes, and when UConn does not normally struggle in the scoring department, even though Iowa State plays great defense, you're still going to have to score 70, I think, to compete with UConn on that. Northwestern, on the other hand, they do have some shooters. They don't play the defense that some of the other teams play in this East region here. But I think Northwestern shot their shot against FAU in order to get into this matchup. So we like UConn. We'll lay the points and not worry about it at all. So UConn minus 8 in the first half, minus 14 for the game. And we do like them better first half. I think they might just put it on cruise control in the second half. But UConn minus 8 first half, minus 14 for the game. One more time, UConn minus 8 first half and minus 14 for the game. Next game up, Texas A&M, Houston. Sunday at 5:40 our time, 8:40 Eastern. You guys on the East Coast are going to get some late games on Sunday night. It's too bad they didn't play the Eastern region stuff early to get you guys a little bit of rest out there before Monday morning. But Texas A&M, Houston here. I'm going to be really honest with you. This is another game where I thought Texas A&M shot the lights out against Nebraska. Houston, and it's really hard if you've not played Houston before to not get kind of blown out in the first half against Houston. Their defense is suffocating. Most teams are not ready for that. It's not unusual. Houston a lot of times has big leads, and it's not necessarily that they put up 50 points. It's like 35-15 or 35-18 or something to that effect, what Houston tends to do to people in the first half or the first time you play them. You just don't see that kind of not only that, you don't see that type of offensive rebounding that they have. You just don't see it. The only thing Texas A&M might have saw that was close to that might have been Mississippi State or something to that effect, but Houston can offensive rebound like nobody's business, so they seem to almost get points. It feels like every trip down the floor while you're sitting there getting one and dones on, one and out on them. I just like Texas A&M, I believe, shot their ass off in the first round, and I think Houston puts a clamp on that and just cruises to a win here. So we'll take Houston minus 5.5 in the first half, and that is one of our best bets for the day as well. They cripple teams in the first half. Even teams like Baylor that played them before, Houston goes into Baylor, and they're up 20 at halftime. Now, it ends up being a tight game at the end of the game because Baylor got hot, but that's the kind of thing that they do to teams. So Houston minus 5.5 in the first half, minus 9.5 for the game. One more time, Houston minus 5.5 first half and minus 9.5 for the game. Last game of the night, Yale, San Diego State. It says 5:46 here in Arizona, so that's 8:46 out east. 5.5 point favorite is San Diego State, the 5 seed versus the 13. Total at 128.5. I'm not sure where they're going to, how they're not blowing by this number. So if you think San Diego State's going to win, they're going to have to score 70. I don't think Yale is scoring 55 points in this matchup. So I think the line's a little light on the total. This is how we're going to attack this game. Yale scores in the high 70s against Auburn, and Auburn has a pretty good defense. Now, Auburn plays the faster pace of play, no question about it. But San Diego State, if they hit threes, this game is not only going to go over, it's going to go over by 30 points. To me, this has a potential in the 150s, and it's priced at 128.5. Now, I'm not saying that everything's going to click for both teams and we're going to get into the 150s, but even if they both have just a shade below average nights, I think we get into the 130s at least. So give us the over in this game. We'll take Yale, San Diego State over 60 in the first half and over 128.5 for the game. One more time in this one, Yale, San Diego State over 60 total points in the first half and over 128.5 total for the game. Now, we'll also go back here. I'll just run through those Sweet 16, Elite 8. So we're still alive on Illinois, Grand Canyon, or GCU, Baylor, James Madison, Marquette, and Creighton. And then Illinois, Houston, Baylor, Creighton for our Elite 8. Illinois, Houston, Baylor, Creighton for our Final Four. Now, like I said, we did, unfortunately we left out UConn on that one. I'd just be really honest with you. UConn could win this whole damn tournament and we can miss a bet here, but I'm not going to take somebody at minus money to make a Final Four. And there's so many things that could happen. An injury could happen. You got guys just have an off shooting night that it just seems kind of silly to take them to bet them to go to a Final Four. And they were so juicy to get to the Sweet 16 and everything else. There's times we take minus 500s. Or minus 700s. There are times we do that, but when it comes to the March Madness and the NCAA tournament, that's something we're definitely going to stay away from, even if we believe that's how it's exactly going to go. We'll find other avenues to make a play. So just to give you a rundown one more time, we like Marquette, Utah State, James Madison, money line and plus the points, Baylor, Grand Canyon, money line plus the points, UConn, Houston, and then that over in the Yale-San Diego State game. At the end of every episode that we do as well, make sure you take a look in the comments section. There will be a link to our Google Sheet. This is a ledger of all of our bets, what juice we got those at, how many units we placed, also what book we placed them at. Then obviously you get the results once we have those tallied up, either the day of the game and once it's finished, or we might get to it the next morning. But feel free to follow along on those. We're now over 9,000 units up on basketball for the season between the NBA and college. We got a bunch of NBA games going tonight as well. The other thing with the Google Sheets is once you've used them, once you've looked at them, you can look at them again in case you can't check out the full episode of our show, or maybe you can't make it at all, but you want to see what we bet on to match them up with your bets. Feel free to do so. Check those out. That's what they're there for. We're transparent up front, and here's what we're doing. And as always, if you could subscribe and get notifications to our YouTube channel, so when we drop a new episode of bets, you get those first. Makes life really simple. Once you hit that subscribe button, turn notifications on for YouTube, you'll get a notification to your phone or device to let you know Sports Bets for Free has dropped new episodes of bets. Match them up with your bets and give you that ton of confidence you need heading to the betting app or betting window so we can all make some money. I do appreciate everybody's support as always, and look forward to seeing you on the next episode.